Former Clinton campaign attorney Michael Sussmann is expected back in federal court today for week 2 of his trial. He's charged with lying to the FBI and the Trump-Russia probe. On Friday, former Hillary Clinton manager Robbie Mueller testified that it was Clinton herself who approved the leak of materials to the media that claimed a covert communications channel between the Trump organization and a Russian bank. Those claims, of course, turned out to be false. Mueller's testimony is raising new questions for Robert Mueller and his team of prosecutors. They spent 2 years and 35 million taxpayer dollars and issued nearly 3,000 subpoenas and held interviews with more than 500 witnesses. So why are we just now learning about this key detail? Emily, anyone in Trump world, anyone in the world really remembers this, but when you were in Trump world, I mean, you lived this every day for 2.5 years, this looming shadow over the presidency, and you'd think that Robert Mueller would have this key detail, but nope, we learned about it just now, and by our records, we checked, we can't find that he even interviewed Robbie Mueller.
That's right. And to add to your grocery list, so they used 19 special prosecutors, more than 40 FBI agents. We footed that entire bill. They produced 3 separate reports that basically said, well, we can't prove a connection between Trump and Russia, but we can't disprove it. And to your point, Kaylee, all it would have taken is 5 minutes spent in a room with this guy who could have said, yes, actually, it was greenlit by Hillary Clinton. Actually, yes, there was not one modicum of truth to this. And instead, this really important person is the one who approved of and spearheaded it being leaked to the media. And listen, if I was one of the attorneys on Mueller's team, I would not only be extremely embarrassed right now, but I would have a lot of questions, because either they did know and it didn't make it into the report, or they didn't know. And either of those answers are absolutely unacceptable.
No, they're not. And, you know, the United States, anyone living here, you thought your president was an agent of Russia. That is what they told us for years. And it turns out it was something that was greenlit by the Democrat nominee, Joey, said, you know, give this to the media by the Democrat nominee, peddled to the FBI, and it was all a lie. And Joey, look at this. This is Jake Sullivan back in 2016. If his name sounds familiar, it should, because he's national security advisor now. He said this could be the most direct link between Donald Trump and Moscow. Computer scientists have apparently uncovered a covert server linking the Trump organization to a Russia-based bank. He's the national security advisor now, and he just gets to move on with life.
Yeah, he later tweeted, I think, you know, one of those tabloid articles that a baby was born with fins and gills, and said this could be the latest and most important thing that we could see in genetic modification. So that's what this is akin to. My point for bringing that up. Listen, the illegality of it, there are lawyers here, I'm not one, that can talk about it, but from my understanding is, Sussmann is really on trial for perhaps lying to the FBI. It's not necessarily illegal for Hillary Clinton's campaign to leak something they have to the press. I guess they can always say they expected the press to go look it up and do their job on it and see if it's true or not. But the truth is, when you peel back the layers of the onion, what we may not be able to prove in court, but every American can see here laid out as plain as day, is that there's a direct link between Sussmann going to the FBI and trying to sell the FBI on this, and Hillary Clinton's campaign, who he works for, going to the American people and trying to sell the American people on this, while all of them apparently knew it wasn't true. And so even though politicians can lie to us and get away with it, the idea is a lawyer working for a politician can't lie to the government and get away with it. So what we're trying to see here is, can we prove, or can they prove, that Hillary Clinton sent Sussmann to the FBI? Did he go there on behalf of the campaign? Did he go there billing them for his time? And that's what we're looking at and saying, can we stick them with it? So why do I point that out? We may very well end up a few weeks or a few months from now and say, hey, listen, there aren't criminal charges, but every American can see what the Democrats tried to do here. And let's make sure that doesn't happen again. Even if Twitter and Facebook are complicit in some way, or any other messaging platform, we can't let candidates lie to us at this level, because it's about tore our country apart.
And that's it. You know, I think there is a question, what did Hillary Clinton and the campaign know about Sussmann, who misrepresented himself to the FBI? But Harris, here's my problem ethically. here. You had Robbie Mook, who said, we don't have expertise to judge what we were briefed on, but we decided to give it to a reporter so the reporter could run it down more. It's their decision whether to publish it. So they want the reporter to vet it, except wait, here's the tweet. Hillary Clinton leans into it. At the same time, computer scientists have apparently uncovered a covert server linking the Trump organization and a Russian bank. So you want the reporter to vet it, but on the other hand, you're leaning into it.
Yeah, so I want to tie what you're saying into what Joey was just saying. Joey, as you were talking, and you were military, a warrior at heart, I was just the kid of one. What you're talking about is command and control. And that, to me, is really fascinating, because that gets us far beyond who knew what when. Was she triggering everything to happen? And by you reading that tweet, Kayleigh, it deepens my intrigue now about this concept of, well, did Hillary Clinton, was she the one who sent Sussmann to the FBI? And you can ask those questions with regard to this one issue. As Joey said, you may not be able to prove that anything illegal happened on Hillary Clinton's part, but you can talk about the ethics of being the person to direct weaponry, communications weaponry, which is what this is. A circular communications lie around an individual is weaponizing what we do as communications people, right? You can question whether or not she was in direct command and control of that, which feels a lot like targeting, which could get you into that legal realm. I mean, was she going after Donald Trump knowing that she could galvanize members of the FBI and the media? Was it directly coming from her? And that tweet suggests that we need to go there with her now, because at the very least, we could put her up and have her speak. Maybe you can't touch Hillary Clinton legally, but they haul a whole lot of people into court to hear from them. Maybe she deserves to be on that list.
Hey, maybe so. I mean, we know she directed it, but Cheryl, going to the FBI added this auspice of credibility to the reporting, seeing that the FBI was involved in looking into it. And we know here that when Sussmann went, he texted, I'm coming on my own, not on behalf of a client. So the question is, did Hillary know that?
Well, I mean, look, the idea in general that one politician would jump at the chance to smear an opponent is not a surprise.
100%.
Right? What surprises me here is the lack of journalism. You know, I'm disappointed at our colleagues out there that decided that this was, oh, yeah, Trump, of course he did it. Sure. They bought into this lie. That lie lasted for years, and it ended up costing the American taxpayer $35 million. So where's the accountability for that? Because the taxpayer is not going to get back that $35 million. And there's plenty of, you know, bad spending to go around, guys. But at the end of the day, look, I think that at this point, it is fair game to question what Hillary knew and didn't know. And I don't know. I disagree with you guys. I think we could find out how culpable she was in this, but we've got to get more journalists on board with that question.
Well, good luck with that.
Yeah, a lot of... Good luck, exactly, and a lot of unanswered questions. I mean, we're 6 years past the date of this happening, 6 years, and we still have unanswered questions. Where are the journalists? Good question.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.